Would you start by giving us a definition or a description of what pseudoscience is and why it gets a lot of your attention? Why we should
will.
About it?
I will, absolutely. And it all started, this is going to sound like a big old lie, but I promise all of you it is not. My interest in this all started here when I taught stats and research methods. I assure you that is absolutely true, because this is what happened. I took over our class, and we do the same thing that other people do, right? We teach research methods, we work our way through descriptive and inferential statistics, we teach a p-value, all great. And all that material is still in there because it is wonderful material that everybody should learn. It's awesome, love it, and I love statistics. But I did worry that what I would tell people is, I said, look, a lot of our graduates, they're going to be pilots and they're going to be officers in the Air Force. So we need to focus not just on them learning the mechanics of research methods and statistics, but a combined issue, which is how do people reason scientifically? And the two are connected, right? So if you think about correlation causation, this is a common scientific reasoning failure where people will see a correlational data and they won't invest enough time into thinking about, okay, are there alternative explanations involving third variables and reverse causation? We see that all the time. So we can't just teach the research methods. We also have to teach the way people reason when they see evidence. And sometimes they interpret really bad evidence as good evidence. Like, my brother drove that car and he had a great experience. And you go, okay, I'm not going to look at Consumer Reports. I'm just going to listen to your brother. And so when I thought about this, what I really wanted to do was add more emphasis on pseudoscience. And then this led me on this path of trying to figure out what exactly pseudoscience is. And it took me a lot longer to get comfortable with the answer than I expected. Because what you'll see is a lot of people will say, well, pseudoscience does this, or pseudoscience does that. And that isn't really an effective way to try to identify pseudoscience. It's true, it's effective to criticize, but one pseudoscience will do one thing and another pseudoscience will do another. And even when one pseudoscience does one thing, like make ad hominem attacks to the person that's criticizing them, like, you know, you don't have any data for that anti-vaccination thing. Yeah, well, you're a jerk. And you're like, that's not really a scientific argument. But even within science, right, people will subtly jab each other and they'll make ad hominem kind of attacks. Not often, it's obviously professionally. But all these little things that people point to, none of them worked perfectly. And one day I read this chapter, and it was by a philosopher, and his last name's Hansson, and it's a book called The Philosophy of Pseudoscience. And he mapped it out better than I've ever seen anybody else do it, and I use it all the time. He said it has 3 criteria. It has to be a scientific claim. So if you say, Prince is the worst artist, he's kind of my favorite, but Prince is the worst musical artist of all time, well, that's ridiculous, but it's not pseudoscience because it's not a scientific claim. Oh, I totally dated myself, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just did it, didn't I? Okay. The claim has to be totally unreliable, and then the claim has to be promoted as if it's reliable. That's basically it. So it's any scientific claim where people are generally making arguments that the claim is reliable, and in reality, the claim is unreliable. And what follows that is, of course, how do you promote a claim that doesn't have any legitimate scientific evidence? You use lots of tricks. And those tricks, and people don't even know that they're using tricks. Sometimes I think they do. But those tricks are the things that follow pseudoscience, right? So it is I believe that vaccines cause autism, and you say there's no evidence for that, and they go, well, I knew a person, and you're like, that's just an anecdote in a sea of data with no correlation, so that's a bad argument. That's pretty much it. It has to be a scientific claim that's totally unreliable, but it's promoted as if it's the most reliable claim.
Nice. That's a great definition. Yeah.